The world is coming undone. Imperial flags reign across the galaxy.
Can you be trusted without your shackles?
Let's just get this over with, shall we?
We've a mission for you. A major weapons test is imminent. We need to know how to destroy it.
If you're really doing this, I want to help.
Good.
Good. I've been recruiting for the rebellion for a long time.
We destroyed our home. I fight the Empire now.
I fear nothing. All is as the Force wills it.
The captain says you are a friend. I will not kill you.
Thanks. There isn't much time. Every day they grow stronger.
There is a 97.6% chance of failure.
He means well.
This is our chance to make a real difference. Are you with me?
All the way.
Splash, bub. Da 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 da. Ba 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 da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Boo 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 boo. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Welcome to Movie Yumpers. My name is Bob Sham.
My name is Angela.
The sounds here may be dogs, or the sound of the Death Star destroying your entire fucking town. The mass death begins here.
Oh, yeah.
Because one thing that the original trilogy and the newest one has a lot of is whole planets dying. In this one, we get a preview. Cities dying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Getting blasted from the sky.
The world killer.
That's right. It is forced. That's our theme we're calling Star Wars Month, in which we're going through all the Star Wars movies, both feature film and made for TV, in chronological order. The prequels in the bag. Then we got Solo, which kind of didn't feel a lot like Star Wars, despite the fact that Chewbacca's running around.
Yeah.
And that Darth Maul was in it with his robot legs. But now we come to the film Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Directed by Gareth Edwards, written by Chris Weitz, Tony Gilroy, John Knoll, and Gary Whitta, starring Felicity Jones, Diego Luna, Ben Mendelsohn, Forrest Whitaker, Donnie Yen, Mads Mikkelsen. This is one of those billion-dollar movies. All the Disney Star Wars have at least made $1 billion except for Solo. Rogue One is like the idea of like, what is the story right before Star Wars starts?
I love this movie.
You love it?
I do. I can't, I'm not going to give it the highest of scores because I have some problems with it, but the action in this, the characters in this, I really think it's a good movie.
We haven't rewatched the new prequels, but I might be willing to say just right now that Rogue One is probably the best Disney era Star Wars movie.
I don't remember liking any of the other ones more than Rogue One, and now watching it again, I think it's good.
We'll see when we watch Force Awakens. But yeah, Rogue One, a Star Wars story. I think one thing that really works here is there's a few things. A couple of actors we really like here. Many actors.
Yes.
Mads Mikkelsen's good. Forrest Whitaker. Diego Luna.
I love him. I've loved him so long.
And Ben Mendelsohn. This one has a good villain.
He's great.
Yeah, Ben Mendelsohn he's really fucking good.
He's really fucking good.
And he's kind of an older man now. It's like, I think he's Australian. He's been out there on the grind, but he is a character. We remember that show Bloodline?
Yeah, we only watched the first season that he was in.
Because he was in it.
Because he was in it. He made that show.
He carried the whole show.
Yeah, and from then on, we were like, we'll watch anything he's in. We love him.
The thing about Bloodline, the only reason I would recommend it is mainly to watch Mendelsohn's performance in it.
Yeah.
Everything else is just kind of okay surrounding that,
but,
right?
Like, who cares? But yeah,
amazing. He is good.
Yeah.
He is a very good actor, and I'm always happy to see him in a movie. And he oozes the imperialism quite well in this movie.
It's a peaceful life. It's lonely, I imagine. Since Leia died, yes. Oh. My condolences. Search the house!
Going to a little planet to go pick up this dude who has a wife and kids. He has run away, but the Empire has found him. This part at the beginning seems to take place between Revenge of the Sith and Solo. The Imperials end up killing, what's your fucking name? Jyn?
Jyn is the kid's name.
Jyn Erso. Her mother ends up getting killed because she tries to shoot back. So Jyn Erso escapes with the help of Forrest Whitaker's character. Mads Mikkelsen's character, Galen Erso, ends up being abducted. And they're taking him off to build the Death Star, basically.
He got out and hid because he didn't want to be part of it. But then they found him and forced him to come back and build them the Death Star.
The Death Star.
So he's basically the smartest guy in the galaxy. They can't do it with anyone else, but you know, we get into more of that story later, but they just know that he's so talented. They're like, you have to come do this for us.
I mean, this movie is at the beginning of Star Wars. Princess Leia, she gives these plans to R2-D2, which show a weakness in the Death Star system. And that's what allows, well, I mean, we'll talk about the movie like in 2 days, but that's what allows them to blow it up and fly the shit in there. So this is the story of how they got those plans.
Yeah.
And it was a speculation by many people involved, like that if the Death Star even existed, because a lot of people were just like, "Oh, come on."
But the people who had seen it fucking knew it did.
And Diego Luna knows what's going on here in some way. He's like it wants to present Diego Luna's character as Cassian Andor as a guy who's maybe not a great guy.
Well,
but
he even says
no one's worse than the Imperials. So like,
yeah,
if someone's going to make you get caught to destroy a whole resistance.
Go! What have you got?
Troopers down. Section 9.
Are you crazy? I'll never climb out of here, my arm!
Get out of the way. Oh!
Calm down. Calm down. We'll be alright.
You gotta shoot him in an alley. But he does give those soft performance where he shows that he doesn't feel so great about it. Yeah. There is like some actual decent acting. This movie, it's not like popping off any romance or anything. It doesn't feel quite as dry as Star Wars often does. I
love that they don't go the romance route, but Jyn and his character, what is his name? Diego Luna.
Andor. They
understand each other and they care about each other. They rely on each other. And I really appreciate that because you really feel that.
A pilot has defected from the Empire.
Yes.
And has sought out Forrest Whitaker's character called Saul Guerrera, who is presented as more of an extremist in terms of the anti-imperialism.
He doesn't trust anybody.
Like, he's further to the anti-imperialism than even the basic resistance.
And he was friends with Jen's parents, and he actually, when her dad got taken, the mom got killed, Forrest Whitaker took her and raised her and trained her.
They go to Jen and they're like, we know that you and this guy are connected to your father, and we know that this pilot escaped. We need the information that this pilot brought to this man. Mm-hmm. And she's hesitant, but ultimately she could go see her dad again if
and
this
she was
works
in jail.
out.
They busted her out of prison.
Congratulations. You are being rescued. Please do not resist.
So she agrees. And they end up going to this town where they mine the gems that they used to make lightsabers. Saw Gerrera is pretty hardcore. He uses something to pull the memories from Riz Ahmed's character.
It's a being, like a creature.
Yeah.
She shows up with Diego Luna and a couple other people. At this point, they've picked up these two. They're like monks, kind of. Like they were at the temple in this town, and one of them is a blind man who really believes in the Force. They both used to be like guardians of this temple, but the whole thing has basically been overrun.
Yeah.
And so what you end up with is these two men. You got this man who's blind, but he believes unwaveringly in the power of the Force. The other man has seen some shit, and he's like a little doubtful. And he basically is like, fuck the Force, you have me, I'm going to protect you. But they're like real tight. And they also have a reprogrammed robot.
I'm K2SO. I'm a reprogrammed Imperial droid.
I remember you.
I see the Council is sending you with us to Jeddah.
Apparently so.
That is a bad idea. I think so, and so does Cassin.
Which kind of helps them get some places because he looks like an Imperial bot, but he thinks for himself.
He's good. He's like a good spy robot.
Yeah, so they all show up and they take Jin to see Saw, and the other guys get put in the jail next to the prisoner. They figure out who he is, so he ends up with them as well. And she goes to see Saw, and he plays the video for her, and that's when she sees the hologram of her dad saying, you know, this is what I did. I knew I couldn't leave because I knew that they would do this without me if I left. So I stayed and I made sure there's a way to destroy it. It's so hidden that no one will find it. You've got to go into the reactor and like blow everything up. And he then talks to her directly, like, I don't know if you're still there and you're with him, but I love you and I'm so sorry and I wish I could explain better. So something happens where they figure out that the pilot
is there,
defected and went there, so that's how they know that Saw is there.
They don't, like, a lot of people don't even know it's even exists at this point.
Right.
So this becomes the first time they actually use the Death Star. We know in the original trilogy this thing can destroy planets, but then it starts to, and it does, this movie is very nice looking, of course, and we see the Death Star start to like loom down, almost like it eclipses at one point. It's actually really cool looking.
It looks really cool.
And then we see Grand Moff Tarkin and Ben Mendelsohn, which we'll get into that in a minute.
That's the bad part.
They blow up the whole fucking city. The city that mines Jedi power crystals.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Just to attempt to kill this pilot that is there, but everyone does manage to barely escape. And yes, Grand Moff Tarkin is in this movie. Of course, Peter Cushing passed away. Mm-hmm. And so one infamous thing about this movie is that it is a CGI Grand Moff Tarkin.
It's bad.
No, it's not good.
It's not good.
I didn't even know how to feel about it. I'm sure his estate had to kind of sign off on something here, but it's just,
I guess.
It doesn't look good. He looks like a PS5 game cutscene. I don't know. I get that he may have to be there, but maybe you can just have him on a screen or something like where you utilize old footage and the tech you use to kind of change the mouth or what he's saying. I understand that it's probably like top of the line CGI, but it's the uncanny valley thing, and it's very much distracting within a movie that seems pretty good otherwise.
I really believe that they could have just put someone else in that role that was about the same age and looked similar, and we would have been fine with it. We know the guy's dead.
Well, they did put someone in there mocapped with that
But I'm
shit.
just saying, just like let them, put a little prosthetic on them or whatever, and like let someone just act the role.
I think I would have just had him on a screen or something.
I agree with that too. But so the whole thing is, he has to be part of it because he ends up like being in charge of the Death Star.
He's like the third top guy next to the Emperor and Vader.
What he's doing at this point is he basically is testing Ben Mendelsohn because he's like, I don't even know if your thing is going to work. Like you say it will, but I don't know.
Some bureaucracy.
And then when it does work, he's like, great, I'm going to go tell the Emperor that I created this thing. And Ben Mendelsohn is like, I fucking created this thing. And so you totally see him manipulating the whole situation, and in that part, it's a great character turn on him.
The story beat there is good.
The story beat's great, but like you said, it looks terrible.
Distracting.
It would have been even better if it had always been in shadow or from behind, like you were saying. Like they could have done
or just
tricks.
Pull the camera back where we don't have to like look at his CGI lines.
Prepare for the jump to hyperspace and inform Lord Vader.
The pilot brings them back to where he ran from, because that's where Galen is apparently, and Andor wants to shoot Galen, and he hasn't told Jyn that.
Yeah.
And his plan is to isolate the pilot and shoot him too, because he has information that could compromise the resistance.
Yeah.
But when he gets Riz Ahmed alone, he is unable to pull the trigger. Ben Mendelsohn's character, Orson Krennic is his name, happens to show up.
Mm-hmm.
And look who happens to walk out on the landing platform but Galen, Mads Mikkelsen's character. So she sees her dad.
Ben Mendelsohn has shown up because he knows that someone sent a message, because it's all come back that this pilot escaped and has gone to Saul, and that's why they went to that planet and blew up that city in Jeddah. And so Ben Mendelsohn shows up, and he's basically brings out Galen and all of his team of scientists and says, and Galen's standing next to him, and all the scientists are there, and Ben says, one of you leaked information to the resistance. So one of you is going to step forward and tell me that you did it. And when no one does, he's ready to kill them all. So Galen steps forward and goes, it was me, I did it. And then Ben kills them all anyway, because of course he's going to do that. No one's going to live. But Galen gets shot.
Oh, and the resistance knows that they are there? They're not technically directly with the resistance. They're like deep cover agents.
But they lost radio communication.
And they're sending their rogue squadron now to do something about it.
To blow up the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is they want to kill the man who created the Death Star.
So yeah, there's a bunch of boom boom explosions. Krennic escapes, but she goes to go meet her father, and he's dying, but he does get to say that he loves her and he's proud of her.
The last thing he says is, there are so many things I want to tell you. Like, that was gutting.
How about you maybe apologize for building the Death Star?
Oh my God.
I mean, the justification is that
he did in the video.
If someone else built it, they wouldn't have made the vulnerability.
Exactly. He felt it was, he was doing an inside job.
Yeah.
He was working for the resistance within it so that he could then get the message out. Don't know why he didn't get the message out earlier.
Is he responsible? Is he partially responsible for what the Death Star does up to that point? So Alderaan gets fucking blown up.
He is responsible.
So that's on him.
So yes,
a little bit
felt
anyway.
as though and I totally understand his justification of, I stayed so I could booby trap it. Now, he was trying to get the message out before it could be used, but the fact that he got the message out kind of fast-tracked it being used.
Because they know the pilot's running around with whatever information.
Exactly, because it all got figured out, and that's the whole problem, is that it wasn't secret enough.
So it's time they gotta go to fucking Scarif?
Okay.
Which is like, looks like some beach planet.
It's beautiful there.
You know, I gotta say real quick, Earth is better than most planets we see in science fiction movies, right? Because Earth has forest, ocean, beaches, mountains, deserts, jungles, plains. In Star Wars, it's just like, this is Ice Planet. Here are 6 desert planets.
Also,
here's Mountain Planet.
Are they like way small planets? Because doesn't it seem as though you can get from one side of the planet to the other like very quickly?
That's also the thing, and it's like this with every like deep space interplanetary science fiction, is that everyone, I mean, I guess you could say they have trackers, but everyone seems to just casually fly into these planets and be exactly where they need to be.
And if you're in the middle of the desert and you start walking, you'll find a city.
Yeah.
Like without too much effort. We saw that in the last movie. Like in Solo, they were just walking forever, and then there was where they needed to be.
Don't get all gaga over these Star Wars planets. They suck, all right? All of them are trash. Earth is the better planet.
Well, the Ewok planet's pretty good.
Yeah, it's all forest, though.
I know, but I love that.
It's just like one thing. Then you got Swamp Planet, Dagobah.
Yeah, no thanks about that one.
Good. You know that shit smells. It smells like Yoda's pussy because he's a pussy. Run away, Yoda. Anyway, so I don't want to linger on too long with this.
Sure.
But I will say there's a whole exchange where they do get there and the Rogue Squadron is backing them up in space. There's a shield over the whole planet. So they got to do certain things. And I'm not going to go through this bit by bit, but I will say that this is pretty much like a war scene, basically, like the fucking Dirty Dozen, Suicide Run kind of shit. And I think there a lot of times I might sit through something like this and be a little bored. I actually thought the way they executed all the drama leading up to getting this and seeing Ben Mendelsohn's character get frustrated and frustrated more and more as it goes further and further. And as it keeps going, that's when we get Darth Vader starts to make an appearance because he has to deal with things more directly because of what is going on. And not to, I think it'd be boring. It wouldn't do it justice to go bit by bit.
Sure.
But we'll just get to Jin and Andor on the tower. But like all these people, the Blind Jedi, Riz Ahmed's runaway pilot, the robot, they all like meet their end heroically.
Yeah. Well, and
under impossible odds.
The fact that you get to know these people and the characters are done so well that you feel connected to them in a short period of time, and then you lose them in these extremely heroic ways. Like, they know. They're like, there's no coming back from this. They are on a planet that is covered by a shield that if it can be broken through and they can send this message, that's it. They're going to die.
They successfully conveyed desperation and heroism here.
Yeah.
And it worked, and it does work. And we know that they're not going to make it. Like, based on how the story goes, they cannot make it.
Before they go, Jin tries to convince the Resistance that they should do this. And they ultimately say no because the council can't agree. And her original gang, plus Diego Luna and like maybe 15 other guys from the Resistance, they come to her and he basically says, listen, we have done some really terrible things in the name of the Resistance, and we have to keep going. We have to go do this with you, because if we don't, everything that we have done has been for nothing. We can't stop now. We can't be scared. We have to go and try to do this. This is our only chance.
I will say it was pretty cool when we got the Rogue Squadron. One of the dudes, I think he's called a calamare, where he gets in the hammerhead, which is almost like this steamboat, tugboat that pushes boats, and he shoves an Imperial Star Destroyer into another one. And I mean,
it was really cool.
It looks cool as shit. And it crashes the Star Destroyer, and that's how they break the shield, by crashing the Star Destroyer into the thing that made the shield. And it's pretty rad. So Diego Luna and the Jin character, we're always going back and forth on their real names.
Yeah.
But they have a standoff with Mendelsohn, who is down there trying to deal with it. And one thing that's funny is that the Death Star is like, Tarkin or Vader 1 order the whole thing to just get blown to shit after the shield goes down. So the Death Star shows up. So one thing that was weird is that Jin and Andor, they get down from that tower so fast. The Death Star is like shot. You see the explosion after they've manage to send the signal up through once the shields go down, and then the Death Star blasts, and then they're just walking down a beach. Like, they got down off this tower so fucking fast.
I mean, they were close to the beach, but yes, I know you're right, but...
And they're just sitting on the beach, and they're, like, essentially, like, holding hands and stuff, right? Like,
they are holding hands, and
it's the
right
last
before
ride.
it happens, they hug.
Yeah.
And they're, like, holding each other when, like, the flash comes. And it's beautiful. And like I said, like, they are two orphans of the rebellion.
Yeah.
Who have given their lives for the resistance. Like, this is... And they don't have anybody else but each other in that moment. And they've had to trust each other literally more than you trust most people. Because they had to go into this together.
So they're relaying this information, the weakness in the Death Star, on some disc. And they're having to pass it off as Darth Vader himself is coming in and cutting the fuck out of people.
Because he basically is like, no one's fucking handling their shit. I have to go handle it.
But they pass it off, and they manage to get it to Leia Organa, who has the digital face like Tarkin
that was
does.
kind of stinky. I really liked the robot in this one too. I feel like it's so interesting to me that they can give more of a life.
I'm not hating the droids
to
as
the
much.
droid than they can to like Grand Moff Tarkin.
I mean, we still got to sit through C-3PO in the trilogies.
I love him though.
But the droids, there's a lot of back and forth amongst fans amongst the droids. Some people love them, but I do like the idea that every droid is a little bit conscious.
Yeah.
Like that, like, I kind of like that notion, that idea. Maybe it's something to do with the galaxy. When you build a robot in this galaxy, like, it'll do things for you, but there's something about the droid that is slightly conscious. Like, it can be sad or happy or whatever. It's an interesting detail. We don't really talk about the nuances of the droids and why they are the way they are. They don't seem very efficient the vast majority of the time. They seem actually all quite clumsy, but they also all seem to have a little bit of a mind of their own.
They do. And I really liked this one a lot. And, you know, it's interesting if you think about, they decided to blow up this planet. This is where all of their plans for everything is.
I think they just blew up that town.
But still, that tower?
Yeah.
There were like thousands of discs of information.
Yeah.
Just so that just to try, unsuccessfully, to prevent anyone from getting the plans to the Death Star. Did they even know that's what they were getting? I don't even know if they knew why they were there.
I think they did eventually figure out there was something about the Death Star, and that was the information.
But you blow up the entire thing. They lost everything.
In the attempt to stop the information from, well, they were too late. But yeah, that's Rogue One, the Suicide Run Star Wars movie.
Yeah. I liked it.
So you're going to give this 1 through 5. I'm going to give this 1 through 5 combined for best out of 10. Gareth Edwards. He can make a nice looking movie. His most recent movie was one called The Creator, which I don't think people said much about the story, but the visuals are apparently pretty great. How much do you give Rogue One, a Star Wars story from 2018?
I'm going to give it a 4.
A 4? Wow.
I am. I really... Literally, aside from the CGI, Grand Moff Tarkin and Princess Leia, I can't find much fault with this movie. I really loved it.
Well, I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Fair.
So it is a 7.5. This is our highest rated Star Wars movie so far. Predicted around a 7, but we ended up, it's a B+. We're saying Rogue One, a Star Wars story by Gareth Edwards, is at least as good as Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and Role Models. You can compare them directly to those movies. So our next episode, we will be going back to 1977. We're watching the original trilogy, not the redone remakes with all the extra CGI shit in it.
Nope.
We're watching the original versions, which we managed to find DVD collections that have both on it, but we will be watching the original cuts, which I'm actually excited about. I don't think I've seen the original cut in quite some time.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that, and like, subscribe, leave a comment, check the links in our show notes for links and other places to find us. And will it get any better Will we rate any of these any bit higher than Rogue One, a Star Wars story? Who knows? 750 seems kind of high.
Jar Jar is the key to all of this.
Rogue One, may the Force be with you.